Hello everyone, welcome to Paper Daisy Journals. It's Kylie. This video is a flick through of a different style of journal I challenged myself to make, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So I will be making more. The inside will be very similar, but obviously the outside will be different with each journal. So the idea was to actually create a writing journal. I use a lot of beautiful antique and vintage papers in my decorated journals, and I feel they get a little lost with all the pockets and tuck spots and ruffles and that sort of thing. So I've decided to actually dedicate a type of journal to paper. So this is a writing journal and a paper lover's journal. So I set a little challenge for myself that there wouldn't be any ruffles or tabs or tuck spots, that there wouldn't be any ephemera. It would just be beautiful pages. Obviously, this is how it turned out. So that's okay, because I actually love how it turned out, which is why I'm quite excited to sort of make some more. So instead of ruffles in the inside, I decided to put them on the outside. I find loopholes every time. I have a quilted heart here I've hand stitched, and I've just shabbied up with some ink around the edges, a couple of snippets held down with an old mother of pearl button, and that is actually all that is holding that heart onto the journal. I decided to tie it on the front here into a little bow, and I've used a little bit of glue on the knot so it won't come undone. And I've also used some really beautiful vintage fabric my friend Charise sent me in some happy mail, so I will link her details in the description. A couple of layers of lace on the spine. So the cover is flexible on the front and the back, but the spine is not reinforced. It is just 3 layers of fabric and the 2 layers, well, a layer of fabric and 2 layers of lace. I have used mother of pearl buttons on the signature string, so there's 3 signatures and over 100 pages to journal on, and they're A5 size, so quite large. Next time I will actually use antique beads on the spine, because I think there's sort of a lot of buttons. I've also used 2 glass milk buttons down the bottom there. On the back here, there is a ruffle on the edge, and I've just sort of left that undecorated, but decorated. Undecorated for me. And I have actually inked around the edge, so I've inked the ruffle and I've inked the edge just to give it that sort of grungy, old style feel. So that is the cover, and I have a seam binding closure that I've just stitched on to the cover. And inside I have kept the inside cover blank. You can just see where I've stitched on the button to the front. It has also been inked, and I have used different pages, so a lot of antique, a lot of vintage, but some also new. So this is some embossed vellum with a little daisy, one of Haley's daisies, stuck underneath, so you can see through the vellum. This is a gorgeous antique French legal document, so that's the original one. I love the holes from where it's been bound into a book. The ephemera is removable, so I did end up making ephemera. It felt weird not to have ephemera in the journal, and the way I've gotten away with no pockets and fixed tuck spots is I've clipped everything in. So this is some antique French document, a collaged and laminated tag with an eyelet, so some lace and pressed flowers, and tea stained paper on the back, so all the ephemera can be journaled on. And the way I got away with no ruffles and things is I just put some stuff on every single clip that's holding things in. So I think there's almost 10 ruffle, 10, I'm not even sure what to, decorated tabs, removable decorated tabs in this journal. I have also used 3 printable kits, my Grungy Antiques Set 1, my Ledger and Lace, and also my Grungy Antiques Set 2, which I have modified, so I'll just quickly show you how I have changed that. So that's a page that was on a separate page, so I moved that across and I've put that on the same page with a really cool antique label down the bottom there. So the idea was to scan it, possibly shrink it and cut it in half to make 2 decorated tags, or you can actually use this as a journal cover if you wanted to print it onto linen paper and distress and grunge the edges. So there's 2 sort of journal covers. This one I've used some beautiful old journal or magazine title there. These are really cool coupons from 1911 to 1912 for circuses and theatres and concerts. So this page is kind of like a collaged ephemera page. These can be cut out as little tags, and I've used an original one in the journal. That's another one of those gorgeous labels, paper labels, and it's got a beautiful woman there. This is some really old from the 1700s, and this is from the 1700s as well, sort of layered underneath, and that's a receipt from 1904 just layered under there. And this is a really old page from one of those scrapbooks from the 1800s, and I just loved the grungy colour of that. This is the ephemera page that hasn't changed. I just love this Rebecca Warren. She was a famous actress, and the blood butterfly woman, a beautiful woman, that sort of has a Roman feel to it. And this is a lace, antique lace postcard, and this is how I think they introduced a new type of lace design with a beautiful woman posing in there. And this is another changed page. So this is a gorgeous fashion plate from a very old magazine or book, I think, because the paper is quite thick. And this is an embroidery page that I have sort of used as the background from an old French dictionary. So it shows you the different stitches and things like that. And I think that would be wonderful collaged in a journal. So that's another changed page, and this is some of that really gorgeous vintage spotted fabric, and I've left it sort of so it's not flat, it has a little bit of texture to it. So that's the Grungy Antiques Set 2 that I've used in this journal. I've also used some Lochta paper and some old music sheet. There are tuck spots that you can glue down to make pockets. The tea stained paper was a bit too plain, so I've used an antique embroidery stamp and also some German paper tape, measuring tape, which I really love. So that's throughout the journal as well. This is a ticket tape telegram from 1939, and some more of that Lochta paper. So it is a paper lover's journal. This is a page from the Grungy Set 2, and I've just pinned with one of these really old pins at the top a little snippet, so that can be taken off. Technically it's a tab, but it's removable. But even the pin is antique as well, and that was from France. I have also used quite a few pieces of ledger throughout this journal, and some sewing pattern paper for a different texture. And this is some vintage schoolbook page, and that is the middle of the first signature. So these can be glued down if you wish. This is a really cool envelope that I have collaged with all original ephemera, and I've done some straight crazy stitching on here, so it is all stuck down, but also the stitching is a feature, and I've inked the edges, and I've got one of those French, that's actually that's kitchen ephemera, that's 55 degrees Fahrenheit, and they would put that on recipes for the oven temperature. So that's an original one stuck on there with a gold sort of shimmer. That's a printable page, and the other side. So I didn't put tabs sticking out, but I wanted to put some embroidery in this journal to make it special and more handmade than it already is. So I've done these embroidered tabs. That's a little daisy, and I've just used very neutral colors to match the cover of the journal. And I have glued that with permanent glue. So there is some flexibility to it, and it's not hanging out. So I don't know whether to call it a tab or not. But I didn't stitch around it because I just wanted that I wanted it to sort of blend in with the page. I'm lying to myself as I go through this journal. There's another, potential pocket there. And this is a wallpaper tag. So I've used original wallpaper, tea staining on the back. It's got a really nice gold feature to it. On this little Tim Holtz attacher here, there's some beautiful antique bobbin lace. You can snip some of that off if you want to use it in a collage. I've made them quite long. That's also a printable page, and the other side of those pages. No signature beads, but I do have a little antique French skeleton key as a bookmark. So I've decided, because it's a more serious writing journal, that it needed a bookmark. So that does hang out the bottom of the journal, and you can move it obviously as a bookmark throughout the journal, but it is attached at the top there. A book page, because I have to put butterflies in every time. This is an old maritime document from, I think, the 1940s, because it is typed, and I've just pinned some really pretty lace at the top there, so another removable tab. That's that updated version of the Grungy Antiques Set 2 page, and I've printed on linen paper, and I do grunge the edge with a metal ruler, do a little bit of inking. If the ruler sort of tears the page a little, I just let that happen, and then I sort of scrunch the page too, just to take away that flat sort of squareness. And I've double-sided that. Some more lock to paper. This is one of the original concert coupons, and that is tea stained on the back. This is a library card, so you can do a little bit of secret journaling. You can swing that around, do some secret journaling, and sort of swing that back. This is how I got the idea for all the bits hanging out the side, because I thought it looks funny. There's a hole there. You should probably tie something into it. So that's how that happened. It is my fault. Okay, an old French document here, very grungy, from hard to say what the rest of the numbers are, but before it looks like 1990, but it's definitely older than that. Another really cool antique embroidery stamp. I've sort of collected this a little while ago. They're hard to find now, of a big rose there, and some more of that German ticket tape. And I'm actually okay that that's come through because it kind of decorates that page as well. 1912, a French receipt with all the stamps and writing. That's original as well. Some beautiful cotton paper, some more ledger, another page of the printable kit, some really cool onion skin paper. They use that to record legal court cases and things like that. So it's like a duplicate, and they used fountain pen. That's really cool. And that's the middle of the second signature. And this is a handmade paper tag with tea stained, and I've just looped this on. This is easy to take off. I've just looped the tab top on there, and this is some really cool vintage, I think vintage or antique sort of tulle. It's off a really cool tablecloth, and it has like a little dot pattern. That's the other side of the printable, and you can see the coupons there. There's two that you can cut out and do a similar thing on the library card if you have some of those. It's the other side of that really cool receipt. And this is the next embroidered tab. I think little rosebuds. I'm going to say little rosebuds. I do my, yeah. I kind of do my own style. I take influence from a pattern and I change it a little. This is another decorated tag with original. It's a luggage tag with some embroidery magazine, fabric, another one of those little French oven temperature sticker things, and some document down the bottom. And rather than putting a tab topper, I have actually used a little piece of sari silk on one of those tiny Tim Holtz things. That's the embroidery page from the printable. Technically this is a blank page, but you can see the lines through it, and it has natural antiquing and all. And that's the other side of that butterfly book page. This is a piece of ephemera, I think for vegetable oil, but I thought that was fun to put in. This is another French receipt from 1904, original French receipt. Here is a little luggage tag with the original stamp, the francs. So some journaling on the back, and that just has seam binding on the edge. This is from the ledger and lace kit. So I've double-sided everything. Some more Locta paper, some really cool braille paper there. This is another of the antique embroidery stamps. It's in a P4 PaperDaisyJournals. I don't actually have a patch. I do have a really cool wax seal that I will get wax for. So there's sort of a subtle reference to me as the maker. Some beautiful lace at the top pinned on with a little vintage daisy. So and some of the paper tape, a book page. Next time I will probably either use some gesso, white gesso, so you can write over that, or I will put some of this sort of vintage paper with just a little bit of the words sticking through, so that makes it easier to journal on. This can also be torn out and used as part of a collage too. Some of that vintage book paper, ledger and lace, printable. This one is actually old embossed wallpaper it's white on the other side, but I actually loved the darker sort of underside of it. So that's, I didn't emboss that, that's how it came. And I've inked the edge with some of Haley's beautiful daisy paintings on a book page, and that is on a craft cardstock tag with a little eyelet, brad at the top holding on some lace. This is also some vintage onion skin paper, or I guess like transfer paper. It's very delicate, but you can actually still write on it. And this is another piece of ledger, some embroidery magazine, and they are tuck spots or pockets. Some more of Haley's really gorgeous daisies. So just very lightly decorated journal. It's not, I didn't say it was blank. It's lightly decorated. And this is the last embroidered tab, and I'm not sure what type of flower that is, but lots of little French knots there. And I love it. So I would definitely be doing those in the future writing journal or paper lovers journals. I'm not sure what to sort of call them. This one is actually called Audrey. I forgot to mention that at the start. I filmed almost to the end, and then my son decided to come down and have a little chat. And he's 4, his chats are very long. So I had to just stop and start again. But he's quite well occupied upstairs now, which is good. So the other side of all that, I just decided to tear that edge off just for something a little bit different, which I probably would do maybe a little bit more through the journal. This is a stunning large agricultural tag from France. And if there's writing this way, you can always sort of write on an angle, and in doing that you can actually read what you've written because it's not in the same orientation as the original words. So that's another hint as well, handy hint for journaling on a page that sort of has writing in the background. Like this one, for example, you could actually just journal in that direction, but that's the collage page out of the ledger and lace, and that's the other side of that old document and that old ordering page. In the back here, I did have a bit of an issue because this was sort of attached to the front cover, and I was going to put a dark journaling plate on the front of the journal, but it was actually too heavy. So I decided to move this to the back of the journal. So what this is a writing board. So it's an Edith Holden book page, an original book page, with a couple of layers with cardstock, and then this linen paper on the back. So you can actually journal on the back. If you're doing a journal challenge, it would be a great place to record all of the daily prompts or weekly prompts if it's a year-long one. So that's sort of how I would use a writing board, but this can be used to lean on between pages and write, so that you don't have not that there's a lot of bumpiness, but things like this you can sort of write over the top without it affecting the page. So that's sort of the idea of the writing board. And the little tab at the top is a mini bull clip, and I've just got handmade with love as a charm, and I kind of like that jingly sound because I sort of miss that I miss that with not having any jewelry sort of hanging out of the journal. But I still feel this is quite a well embellished or decorated journal. I love the bits and pieces sticking out. Very different bits and pieces to my normal decorated journals, which obviously I will still be making decorated journals. I am loving mini journals, so there'll be more mini journals, and there'll definitely be more of these paper lover journals. So Audrey is the prototype. I always do a prototype, and if I really enjoy creating the journal, then I do tend to sort of mimic the inside, as I said, and the outside will be a bit different. But I think it will be hard not to want to put more of these quilted hearts on the front. I think that may, and the ruffles. I think the ruffles will be on the front, the quilted heart. There'll be beads on the spine, but the fabric and the laces will change. Thank you so much for watching. Quite a lengthy video, but I do appreciate it. And I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.